Nazi salute. The Nazi salute, Hitler salute, German, Hitlergruß, lit. Hitler greeting, IPA, also called German, deutscher Gruß, lit. German greeting by the Nazi Party, or Sieg Heil salute, is a gesture that was used as a greeting in Nazi Germany. The salute is performed by extending the right arm from the neck into the air with a straightened hand. Usually, the person offering the salute would say Heil Hitler. Hail Hitler, Heil, mein Führer. Hail, my leader, or Sieg Heil. Hail victory. It was adopted in the 1930s by the Nazi Party to signal obedience to the party's leader, Adolf Hitler, and to glorify the German nation, and later the German war effort. The salute was mandatory for civilians but mostly optional for military personnel, who retained the traditional military salute until the failed assassination attempt on Hitler on July 20, 1944. Use of this salute is illegal in modern Germany, Strafgesetzbuch Section 86a, and Austria, Verbotsgesetz 1947, and is also considered a criminal offense in modern Poland and Slovakia. In Canada, the Czech Republic, France, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, and Russia, displaying the salute is not in itself a criminal offense, but constitutes illegal hate speech if used for propagating Nazi ideology. Description: the salute was executed by extending the right arm to neck height and then straightening the hand so that it is parallel to the arm. Usually, an utterance of Heil Hitler, or Heil, accompanied the gesture. If one saw an acquaintance at a distance, it was enough to simply raise the right hand. If one encountered a superior, one would also say Heil Hitler. If physical disability prevented raising the right arm, it was acceptable to raise the left. The form Heil, mein Führer, was for direct address to Hitler. Sieg Heil was repeated as a chant on public occasions. Written communications would be concluded with either mit deutschem Gruß, with German regards, or with Heil Hitler. In correspondence with high-ranking Nazi officials, letters were usually signed with Heil Hitler. Hitler gave the salute in two ways. When reviewing his troops or crowds, he generally used the traditional stiff-armed salute. When greeting individuals, he used a modified version of the salute, bending his right arm while holding an open hand towards those greeted at shoulder height. Origins and adoption. The spoken greeting Heil became popular in the Pan-German movement around 1900. It was used by the followers of Georg Ritter von Schoonerer, the head of the Austrian Alldeutsche Partei, Pan-German Party, who considered himself leader of the Austrian Germans, and has been described by Karl Leeskorsk as the strongest and most thoroughly consistent anti-Semite that Austria produced before the coming of Hitler. Hitler took both the Heil greeting, which was popularly used in his hometown of Linz when he was a boy, and the title of Führer for the head of the Nazi Party from Schoonerer. The extended arm saluting gesture is widely, and erroneously, believed to be based on an ancient Roman custom, but no known Roman work of art depicts it, nor does any extant Roman text describe it. Jacques-Louis David's 1784 painting Oath of the Horatii displayed a raised arm salutatory gesture in an ancient Roman setting. The gesture and its identification with ancient Rome was advanced in other French neoclassic art. In 1892, Francis Bellamy introduced the American Pledge of Allegiance, which was to be accompanied by a visually similar saluting gesture, referred to as the Bellamy salute. A raised arm gesture was then used in the 1899 American stage production of Ben-Hur, and its 1907 film adaptation. The gesture was further elaborated upon in several early Italian films. Of special note was the 1914 silent film Cabiria, whose screenplay had contributions from the Italian ultranationalist Gabriele D'Annunzio, arguably a forerunner of Italian fascism. In 1919, when he led the occupation of Fiume, D'Annunzio used the style of salute depicted in the film as a neo-imperialist ritual and the Italian Fascist Party quickly adopted it. By autumn 1923, some members of the Nazi Party were using the rigid, outstretched right arm salute to greet Hitler, who responded by raising his own right hand crooked back at the elbow, palm opened upwards, in a gesture of acceptance. In 1926, the Heil Hitler salute was made compulsory. It functioned as a display of commitment to the party and a declaration of principle to the outside world. Gregor Strasser wrote in 1927 that the greeting in and of itself was a pledge of loyalty to Hitler, as well as a symbol of personal dependence on the Führer. Even so, the drive to gain acceptance did not go unchallenged. Some party members questioned the legitimacy of the so-called Roman salute, employed by Fascist Italy, as un-Germanic. In response, efforts were made to establish its pedigree by inventing a tradition after the fact. In June 1928, Rudolf Hess published an article titled The Fascist Greeting, which claimed that the gesture was used in Germany as early as 1921, before the Nazis had heard about the Italian fascists. He admits in the article, the NSDAP's introduction of the raised arm greeting approximately 2 years ago still gets some people's blood boiling. Its opponents suspect the greeting of being un-Germanic. They accuse it of merely aping the fascists, but goes on to ask, and even if the decree from 2 years ago is seen as an adaptation of the fascist gesture, is that really so terrible? Ian Kershaw points out that Hess did not deny the likely influence from fascist Italy, even if indeed the salute had been used sporadically in 1921 as Hess claimed. On the night of January 3, 1942, Hitler said of the origins of the salute. From 1933 to 1945. Under a decree issued by Reich Minister of the Interior Wilhelm Frick on July 13, 1933, one day before the ban on all non-Nazi parties, all German public employees were required to use the salute. The decree also required the salute during the singing of the national anthem and the Horst Wessel Lied. It stipulated that anyone not wishing to come under suspicion of behaving in a consciously negative fashion will therefore render the Hitler greeting, and its use quickly spread as people attempted to avoid being labeled as a dissident. A rider to the decree, added 2 weeks later, stipulated that if physical disability prevented raising of the right arm, then it is correct to carry out the greeting with the left arm. On 27 September, prison inmates were forbidden to use the salute, as were Jews by 1937. By the end of 1934, special courts were established to punish those who refused to salute. Offenders, such as Protestant preacher Paul Schneider, faced the possibility of being sent to a concentration camp. Foreigners were not exempt from intimidation if they refused to salute. For example, the Portuguese consul general was beaten by members of the Sturmabteilung for remaining seated in a car and not saluting a procession in Hamburg. Reactions to inappropriate use were not merely violent but sometimes bizarre. For example, a memo dated July 23, 1934 sent to local police stations stated, "There have been reports of traveling vaudeville performers training their monkeys to give the German greeting, see to it that said animals are destroyed." The salute soon became part of everyday life. Postmen used the greeting when they knocked on people's doors to deliver packages or letters. Small metal signs that reminded people to use the Hitler salute were displayed in public squares and on telephone poles and street lights throughout Germany. Department store clerks greeted customers with Heil Hitler, "How may I help you?" Dinner guests brought glasses etched with the words Heil Hitler as house gifts. The salute was required of all persons passing the Feldherrnallee in Munich, site of the climax of the 1923 beer hall putsch, which the government had made into a shrine to the Nazi dead. So many pedestrians avoided this mandate by detouring through the small Viscardi behind that the passage acquired the nickname Dodgers Alley, Druckberger Gas. Children were indoctrinated at an early age. Kindergarten children were taught to raise their hand to the proper height by hanging their lunch bags across the raised arm of their teacher. At the beginning of first-grade primers was a lesson on how to use the greeting. The greeting found its way into fairy tales, including classics like Sleeping Beauty. Students and teachers would salute each other at the beginning and end of the school day, between classes, or whenever an adult entered the classroom. Some athletes used the Nazi salute in the opening ceremony of the 1936 Berlin Olympics as they passed by Hitler in the reviewing stand. This was done by delegates from Afghanistan, Bermuda, Bulgaria, Bolivia, France, Greece, Iceland, Italy, and Turkey. The Bulgarian athletes performed the Nazi salute and broke into a goose step. Turkish athletes maintained the salute all around the track. There is some confusion over the use of the salute, since the stiff-arm Nazi salute could have been mistaken for an Olympic salute, with the right arm held out at a slight angle to the right from the shoulder. According to the American sports writer Jeremy Schaap, only half of the athletes from Austria performed a Nazi salute, while the other half gave an Olympic salute. According to the historian Richard Mandel, there are conflicting reports on whether athletes from France performed a Nazi salute or an Olympic salute. In football, the England football team bowed to pressure from the British Foreign Office and performed the salute during a friendly match on May 14, 1938. Jehovah's Witnesses came into conflict with the Nazi regime because they refused to salute Adolf Hitler with the traditional Heil Hitler salute, believing that it conflicted with their worship of God. Because refusing to salute Hitler was considered a crime, Jehovah's Witnesses were arrested, and their children attending school were expelled, detained and separated from their families. Military use. The Wehrmacht refused to adopt the Hitler salute officially and was able for a time to maintain its customs. A compromise edict from the Reich Defense Ministry, issued on September 19, 1933, required the Hitler salute of soldiers and uniformed civil servants while singing the Horst Wessel Lied and national anthem, and in non-military encounters both within and outside the Wehrmacht, for example, when greeting members of the civilian government. At all other times they were permitted to use their traditional salutes. However, according to pre-Nazi, Reichswehr and Wehrmacht protocol, the traditional military salute was prohibited when the saluting soldier was not wearing a uniform headgear, helmet or cap. Because of this, all bareheaded salutes use the Nazi salute, making it de facto mandatory in most situations. Full adoption of the Hitler salute by the military was discussed in January 1944 at a conference regarding traditions in the military at Hitler's headquarters. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, head of the armed forces, had expressed a desire to standardize the salute across all organizations in Germany. After the 20th of July plot in 1944, the military was ordered to fully adopt the Hitler salute as a show of loyalty since army officers had been responsible for the assassination attempt. The order went into effect on July 24, 1944. On the night of January 3, 1942, Hitler stated the following about the Compromise Edict of 1933. Satiric responses. Despite indoctrination and punishment, the salute was ridiculed by some people. Since Heil is also the imperative of the German verb heilen, to heal, a common joke in Nazi Germany was to reply with "Is he sick? Am I a doctor? Or you heal him?" Jokes were also made by distorting the phrase. For example, Heil Hitler might become ein Liter, 1 liter. Cabaret performer Karl Valentin would quip, "It's lucky that Hitler's name wasn't Krauter. Otherwise, we'd have to go around yelling Heil Krauter, medicinal herbs." Similar puns were made involving Braun, rendering Heilbronn, a German city, and Butt, rendering Heilbutt, the German word for halibut. Satirical use of the salute dates back to anti-Nazi propaganda in Germany before 1933. In 1932, photomontage artist John Hartfield used Hitler's modified version, with a hand bent over the shoulder, in a poster that linked Hitler to big business. A giant figure representing right-wing capitalists stands behind Hitler, placing money in his hand, suggesting backhand donations. The caption is, "The meaning of the Hitler salute and millions stand behind me." Hartfield was forced to flee in 1933 after the Nazi seizure of power in Germany. Another example is a cartoon by New Zealand political cartoonist David Lowe, mocking the Night of the Long Knives. Run in the Evening Standard on July 3, 1934, it shows Hitler with a smoking gun grimacing at terrified SA men with their hands up. The caption reads, "They salute with both hands now." When Achille Strachey proposed that Italians should write a Viva il Duce in letters, Mussolini wrote an editorial in Il Popolo d'Italia mocking the idea. Sieg Heil. Sieg Heil was a verbal salute used at the Nazis' mass rallies, where enthusiastic crowds answered Heil, hail, to the call of Sieg, victory. For example, at the 1934 Nuremberg rally, Rudolf Hess ended his climactic speech with, "The party is Hitler. But Hitler is Germany, just as Germany is Hitler. Hitler. Sieg Heil." At his Total War speech delivered in 1943, audiences shouted Sieg Heil as Joseph Goebbels solicited from them a kind of plebiscitary ja to total war. Ja means yes in German. On March 11, 1945, less than 2 months before the capitulation of Nazi Germany, a memorial for the dead of the war was held in Marktschellenberg, a small town near Hitler's Berghof residence. The British historian Ian Kershaw remarks that the power of the Führer cult and the Hitler myth had vanished, which is evident from a report given in the little Bavarian town of Marktschellenberg on March 11, 1945. The Swing Kids, German, Swingjugend, were a group of middle-class teenagers who consciously separated themselves from Nazism and its culture, greeting each other with Swing Heil, and addressing one another as Old Hot Boy. This playful behavior was dangerous for participants in the subculture. On January 2, 1942, Heinrich Himmler ordered that the leaders be put in concentration camps to be drilled and beaten. Post 1945. Today in Germany, Nazi salutes in written form, vocally, and even straight extending the right arm as a saluting gesture, with or without the phrase, are illegal. The offense is punishable by up to 3 years in prison, Strafgesetzbuch section 86a. Usage for art, teaching and science is allowed unless the existence of an insult results from the form of the utterance or the circumstances under which it occurred. Use of the salute, or any phrases associated with the salute, has also been illegal in Austria since the end of World War II. Usage that is ironic and clearly critical of the Hitler greeting is exempt, which has led to legal debates as to what constitutes ironic use. One case involved Prince Ernst August of Hanover, who was brought to court after using the gesture as a commentary on the behavior of an unduly zealous airport baggage inspector. On November 23, 2007, the Amtsgericht Cottbus sentenced Horst Mahler to 6 months of imprisonment without parole for having, according to his own claims, ironically performed the Hitler salute when reporting to prison for a 9-month term a year earlier. The following month, a pensioner named Roland T. was given a prison term of 5 months for, amongst other things, training his dog Adolf to raise his right paw in a Nazi salute every time the command Heil Hitler was uttered. The Supreme Court of Switzerland ruled in 2014 that Nazi salutes do not breach hate crime laws if expressed as one's personal opinion, but only if they are used in attempt to propagate Nazi ideology. Modified versions of the salute are sometimes used by neo-Nazis. One such version is the so-called Kuhnen salute with extended thumb, index and middle finger, which is also a criminal offense in Germany. In written correspondence, the number 88 is sometimes used by some neo-Nazis as a substitute for Heil Hitler. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. Swiss neo-Nazis were reported to use a variant of the Kuhnen Gruß, though extending one's right arm over their head and extending said 3 fingers has a different historical source for Switzerland, as the first 3 Genossen or Confederates are often depicted with this motion. Hezbollah supporters in Lebanon often raise their arms in a Nazi-style salute. The Afrikaner Woestaansbeweging, a South African neo-Nazi organization known for its militant advocacy of white separatism, has espoused brown uniforms as well as Nazi German-esque flags, insignia, and salutes at meetings and public rallies. Hundreds of supporters in 2010 delivered straight-arm salutes outside the funeral for AWB leader Eugène Terblanche, who was murdered by 2 black farm workers over an alleged wage dispute. On May 28, 2012, BBC Current Affairs program Panorama examined the issues of racism, anti-Semitism and football hooliganism, which it claimed were prevalent among Polish and Ukrainian football supporters. The program, titled Euro 2012, Stadiums of Hate, included footage of Ukrainian supporters giving the Nazi salute and shouting Sieg Heil. The 2 countries hosted the international football competition UEFA Euro 2012. On March 16, 2013, Greek footballer Yorgos Katidis of Athens FC was handed a life ban from the Greek national team for performing the salute after scoring a goal against Varia FC in Athens Olympic Stadium. On July 18, 2015, The Sun published an image of the British royal family from private film shot in 1933 or 1934, showing Princess Elizabeth, the future queen, then a young girl, and the Queen Mother both performing a Nazi salute, accompanied by Edward VIII. Taken from 17 seconds of home footage, also released by The Sun. The footage ignited controversy in the UK, and there have been questions as to whether the release of this footage was appropriate. Buckingham Palace described the release of this footage as disappointing, and has considered pursuing legal action against The Sun, whereas Stig Abel, managing director of The Sun, said that the footage was a matter of national historical significance to explore what was going on in the ahead of the Second World War. American white supremacist Richard B. Spencer drew considerable media attention in the weeks following the 2016 U.S. presidential election, where, at a National Policy Institute conference, he quoted from Nazi propaganda and denounced Jews. In response to his cry "Hail Trump, Hail our people, Hail victory," a number of his supporters gave the Nazi salute and chanted in a similar fashion to the Sieg Heil chant. CNN fired political commentator Jeffrey Lord on August 10, 2017 after he tweeted Sieg Heil to Angelo Carusone, president of Media Matters for America, suggesting Carusone was a fascist. Incidents involving American students. In May 2018, students at Baraboo High School, in Baraboo, Wisconsin, appeared to perform a Nazi salute in a photograph taken before their junior prom. The image went viral on social media 6 months later, sparking outrage. The school decided the students could not be punished because of their First Amendment rights. In November 2018, a group of students at Pacifica High School of Garden Grove Unified School District in California were shown in a video giving the Nazi salute and singing an obscure Nazi marching song. The incident took place at an after-hours off-campus student athletics banquet. The school administration did not learn about the incident until March 2019, at which time the students were disciplined. The school did not release details of what the discipline entailed, but released a statement saying that they would continue to deal with the incident in collaboration with agencies dedicated to anti-bias education. On August 20, 2019, the school district announced that it was reopening the investigation into the incident because new photographs and another video has surfaced of the event, along with new allegations and new claims. Parents and teachers criticized the school's administration for their initial secrecy about the incident, for which the school's principal apologized. In March 2019, students from Newport Beach, California attending a private party made a swastika from red and white plastic party cups and gave Nazi salutes over it. Some of the students may have been from Newport Harbor High School of Newport Mesa Unified School District, a very large district which encompasses 58 square miles and includes the cities of Newport Beach and Costa Mesa. Officials from the district condemned the students' behavior. and said they were working with law enforcement to collect information on the incident. In popular culture, information on the incident. In popular culture, information on the incident. In popular culture.